What I have in my hand is the Nikon 1635 f4G VR zoom lens, and today we're going to review it. What's good, guys? This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer. You guys ready for another lens review? The 1635, guys. Well, first up, let me show you some sample images I've taken on pro assignments, events, you name it, paid work with the Nikon 16-35 f4G VR lens. Check it out. These images, mostly weddings, I've shot, but you get an idea of how I love to utilize this lens. Enjoy it, guys. When you're shooting weddings, you have the bride, a beautiful backdrop, beautiful background, and you want the whole dress to show. It's just a very unique focal length when you shoot this lens on the widest setting. Very different than a 24mm. 24mm, sometimes you just wished that you were a little wider sometimes, right guys? When you're shooting weddings, 24-70, that 24mm is just not cutting it, you know? You wish you were a little wider. Believe it or not, I had a buddy of mine, he's a Canon shooter, of course, and he looked at my lens, he was looking at my camera bag, and he picked this lens up and he was like, Nikon makes a 1635? Didn't know that. Well, Canon does. Canon has a few versions of this lens, and I think this guy is a very underappreciated lens. A lot of Nikon shooters, they don't use this lens, they don't have this lens. At 16mm wide angle shots, it's actually fairly sharp and it's impressive. The results are impressive. And for those of you who are on the fence of getting this lens, or you have a 24-70 already and you think 24mm is wide enough for your needs, that's fine. However, I'm gonna take it out, I'm gonna take some sample shots with this guy at 16mm. We're also going to do some shots with a 24mm lens so you see the wide angle difference and the distortion and the quality. We're going to take some pictures. For those of you, like I said, who are on the fence, who think 24mm is wide enough for your photography, in the past that's what I thought until I started playing with wider angle lenses. You shoot at 16mm with this lens and it gives a really cool perspective. Remember what I said about perspective, guys? It's all about the angle of view. What makes great photographers great, they study angles, perspectives, and like I said, at 16mm, this thing does a good job with its performance. Alright, as always, here's some in-detail specs of the Nikon 1635 f4G VR zoom lens. The Nikon 16-35 f4 zoom VR lens. This lens is awesome for travel and for landscape photos. Let me tell you something, this lens has a 77mm filter thread. For all you landscape shooters, you guys know that the 14-24 is very difficult to attach filters. You need to buy a separate kit for that lens, the 14-24, to utilize filters when you're doing landscape. However, with this filter size, it's very easy to use your ND, your polarizers, while shooting landscape. So landscape shooters, they love this lens. Fun fact, guys, the 24-70 has a 77 filter thread, the 7200 is 77, the 85, and a whole host of other Nikon lenses that many professional photographers use. So the 16-35 is very convenient when attaching filters. Oh yeah, and the close focus. This lens is amazing close focusing, guys, which I'll show you an example of a little bit later in this video. Just another reason why this lens is a good deal and a very great buy for you guys. I use the 16-35 very frequently on Vahagraphy videos. If I want that cool close-up 16mm look, some of my videos, this is the guy I go to sometimes. It has VR, vibration reduction, built in. I don't really care for it too much because at 16mm, I don't really use it. And for video clips, I use this lens on a tripod, so VR really, it's cool that it has it, but it's not a deal breaker for me. If it has it, if it doesn't, that's cool. I don't care for it too much. The construction of this lens feels pretty good, pretty solid. It is weather sealed, and it has 2 sets of switches on the lens. One controls the auto and manual modes, and the other obviously VR on and off. You got your focus ring on top here, and you have your zoom ring right on the bottom right here. This lens, when you manual focus, it works, you can use it, it just feels a little cheap to me. It doesn't feel smooth at all, like I said, but you're gonna use this AF 100% of the time anyway, so you don't really care about this ring right here. 16-35, this feels solid. The zoom ring here feels solid. And in my opinion, guys, you're gonna buy this lens to use it at 16mm. I mean, yeah, you could zoom into 35mm, cut the distortion a little bit, and if you need a little tighter shot. But chances are you are mounting this lens on your Nikon camera because you want that super cool 16mm look to your images. You're not shooting it at 24, you're not shooting it at 35, you're not doing that with this lens. With this lens, you're shooting it at 16mm. It's a little lighter than the 2470 version 1, the original 2470 G lens. One good thing about this lens is that when you're playing with the zoom, it doesn't retract, like the body doesn't retract. So I'm at 16mm right here. When I zoom into 35, it doesn't come out like other lenses do. I know the 24-70 2.8 G lens, the zoom portion kind of sticks out. You don't see that when the hood is on, but there's no hood on here, so you don't see the body of the lens extracting out. You see that? It's all hidden. So that's kind of cool. I really like that about this lens. I think all lenses should be built this way. This is really, really cool. Oh, so what do we got here? Guys, this is the HB23 Nikon Hood that comes with the 16-35. I just want to show you guys what it looks like when it's attached to the lens. So this is what the lens looks like with the hood. Some of you guys and gals out there might think, well, this is an f4, it's not a 2.8. Is that a real big deal when it comes to this 16-35? Let me tell you guys, if I'm reaching for this lens from my bag, it's because I'm going to be shooting a series of shots at 16mm. I don't really need f2.8 during these kind of shots. f4 is enough, and modern cameras these days, you crank up the ISO a little bit, very little noise, if any at all. f4 is perfect, it's fine. Do I wish this lens was a 2.8 sometimes? Sure, why not? As far as the price of this lens, you can probably find one for about $600-700 used on the used market, even less maybe. And new, I think they go for about $1,000 or $1,100. All right, everyone, let me shoot some video with the 16-35. Let me show you what I use it for primarily when I do video. And here's what it looks like with the Z6 and the FTZ adapter attached to this lens. F4. Okay, guys, right now, Nikon Z6 FTZ adapter. I have it set on 16mm, all the way wide. F4, and this is a really cool lens for these types of video clips. If you're vlogging, if you're talking about your video, your channel, whatever, and you're just going all crazy like this. And then sometimes I do stuff like this, you know, I come up close like this, rock and roll, cool effects like this, just going crazy. Yeah, guys, so really cool lens. I really enjoy using the 16-35 from Nikon. The 14-24 G lens, a 2.8, shooting wide with that lens and shooting wide with this lens, two totally different looks in my opinion. As much as the 14-24 is an amazing piece of technology, amazing piece of glass, in my opinion, I use this more at weddings, bride's dress, bridal wide-angle portraits. I use the 16-35 more at this point than the 14-24. It's just personal preference, guys. I'm not saying that lens is better than this lens or vice versa. It's just a personal opinion for my work. Let's take this lens out and about. I'll also take the 24-70 G with me. I want you guys to see the difference, wide angle difference between the two lenses. Don't you love when it's just a beautiful day outside? Beautiful sun, the foliage, lenses, cameras, tripods, you name it. Can't get any better than this, right guys? And here's what the lens looks like when it's attached to your DSLR with the hood on from the side. Alright guys, I just came out. Beautiful day as you can see. And I have the camera set up right here. I brought with me the 24-70. I just want you guys to see the difference wide angle from a 16mm to a 24mm. Just in case you guys are on the fence of buying this lens, you guys think 24mm is wide enough. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't for your style of photography. However, I just want you guys to see the difference. So when it's a one-man show like it is here with the sample images, it's a little tough, but I got it done. The whole goal of these images that I took is to show you the difference, like I said. So what I did was took these at 16mm, changed lenses, didn't move the tripod. All I did was put the 24-70 on. What a difference lenses make, huh guys? When you're trying to achieve a wide angle shot, a wide angle look. The 24-70 is set widest setting at 24mm. And right here, just for fun, I shot the 16-35 at 24mm so you guys can compare the difference between the two. Back to the original image, I'm gonna crop it in the center and all four corners so you guys could see the corners, how this lens is doing in the corners. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Rock and roll, guys. What do you say we take some test shots with the 16-35 f4? I noticed a little bit of vignetting at 16mm. Not a deal breaker for me at all. Again, I'm buying this lens for that 16mm look. These images, close focus test, wide open. This is the closest the camera achieved focus, which is very close. And look, you even have a little bit of background blur at f4 wide open. All in all, the Nikon 16-35 f4 is a versatile wide angle option for you guys. And on top of that, it doesn't cost too much to own one of these guys. Well, hopefully you're enjoying this review as much as I'm enjoying making it for you guys. Rock and roll. Well, it's only fitting that we end this video with this lens like this. Thank you for watching, guys. If you like videos like this, all things photography lens reviews, cameras, my take on photo gear, photo business tips, you name it, like and subscribe to Vahagraphy. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload new videos. This is Vahagraphy. I'm Vahagan, your rock and roll photographer, and we'll see you on the next one. Rock and roll.